Alright guys, welcome back into another PGA DFS video. This week we got the Tour Championship, the final leg of the playoffs here, the FEDEX Cup playoffs. So it's definitely going to be an interesting week. I'll talk about strategy a little bit for you guys. We'll do a quick recap of the previous week like always before we dive into it. So BMW Championship last week had Jon Rahm as a core play. He was the 5th or 4th rated player. Had Hideki as a high exposure play. DJ, I know I said in the video last week that I was going to fade him. I ended up overextending my player pool a little bit too much, I think to around 22 players, which I really did not want to go over 20. DJ obviously had a very impressive putt to even force a playoff, and then Rahm just with the answer. That was absolutely amazing, but had Hideki as a high exposure play and then had SEBASTIan MUNOZ as a high exposure play as well. SEBASTIan MUNOZ was pretty upsetting because he only had one bad round. If he would have just knocked off a couple of strokes there on that one bad round, I think he was +5, and then every other round I think he was even par or better. If he just goes +3, +2 on that one bad round, he's right in contention for the win there. So could have been a better week, could have been a worse week. That's kind of how those weeks go, and that's why you don't typically play those weeks too much. And that's what we're going to have this week. We're not going to be attacking this one too much. This is for entertainment purposes. Now, this week does present some, kind of game theory to it with kind of the staggered starts. And for the most part, if you're trying to attack someone that's going to win, maybe via betting, don't go below -2. Typically, the winning score at this course had been 10 under through like 15 under, essentially around that range. So it really depends on how the course plays this week, but you saw last year where around 18 under was the winning score. So essentially you'd have to have a guy shoot 16 under if they're -2, which is not going to happen. That's more than likely not going to happen, but maybe they could have a couple of good rounds in there and then potentially go out and win. For the most part, if you're playing someone that's, doesn't have a chance to win, aka someone that's 2 under or less than that, or even par this week with the staggered starts, that's what I'm talking about, then you're really just hoping that they go out and get a top 5, top 7. This is a very interesting week where you really do have to only chase upside. And then on the top end, you're really trying to chase a lack of downside. So like someone like Jon Rahm or JT, they're pretty much secure to be a top 5 finishers. DJ, it really depends what DJ we're getting, but we'll get into kind of the normal breakdown and go over the player pool for you guys. So just guys in recent form, obviously Dustin Johnson just been great recently. We know that. Almost won last week, 2nd place finish, 1st place the week before that, and a 2nd place finish the week before that, and a top 12 finish. He's going to be a very interesting play, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Daniel Berger obviously just been a stud. Pretty much just been a top 10 machine, top 5 machine, kind of the whole year. Kind of had a lackluster week last week, but not too bad. Jon Rahm obviously won last week, was showing signs of upside from his previous win. The only problem with him this week is like, how is he going to respond after a win? And then Hideki has actually slowly but surely actually been getting a lot better as well. He had 3 straight top 30 finishes, and then last week really kind of put it all together. Just going off of key stats, so we have seen this course played here a ton. We're going to be looking at birdie or better percentage, specifically this week because, like I said, if we're chasing that upside, like say a guy at -5, which is probably the lowest I'd want to go if we're actually looking at players that we want to bet to potentially go out and be able to overcome the stroke differential, then they're going to have to do that via their birdie or better percentage or the strokes differential stat that I got there as well. Another key stat is always strokes gained approach and total driving are going to be key stats I'm looking at this week as well. And then I do think that tournament history, course history is a key thing. Now, yes, you could kind of look at last year's tournament a little bit differently. That's kind of up to the user, how they want to choose to look at last year's score. Like if they're just want to look at who shot the most under par per round, total score wise as well, you could do that. For me, I'm doing a little bit differently. I'm just going to be looking at their best overall finishes because I do think there's something to be said around protecting a lead or protecting your place on a leaderboard. Because if you have to go out and win, there's a little bit of difference. Like Rory, if he was, say, in 1st place last year entering the week, he would not have shot the score that he had shot because the score that he had shot was one that he knew he had to go out and be aggressive with and go out and attack to be able to go out and potentially win. So you can kind of take that both sides. That's the way I'm choosing to do it. But Rory obviously does have good course history. He had a first, a T7, and a first finish in 3 years playing this course. Xander has been a stud. Second, T7, and the first. Hideki, actually pretty solid as well. T9, fourth, 26th, and a fifth finish. And then Justin Thomas, all top 10s, T3, T7, second, and T6. So I do think there is something to say there for those guys that have been able to go out and consistently produce at this course. But let's get into the picks for this week. It'll be kind of short and simple for you guys. All right, so really with the high end, what you guys are going to want to do is kind of pick and choose which two you think are going to win. DJ doesn't have good course history here, but he has been in great recent form. He ranks out as the 8th best player stat fit wise, which on a normal week would be fine, but his course history isn't the best here. T29 finished here last year, third, which is good, T17 and a T6. So kind of mixed bag of results there for Dustin Johnson. He does worry me. Yes, he does have that 2-stroke advantage, but I don't know. That does worry me. It's kind of up to you guys what you want to do with that. Jon Rahm, interesting play as well. First last week, T6 the week before that, T13 the week before that. He's had a 12th, a T11, and a T7. I'm kind of thinking about fading these two, which kind of seems crazy, but also that could be the popular route. I don't know. Ownership is going to matter this week. We'll put it that way. Justin Thomas, great course history here. Kind of been lackluster lately, but that's kind of Justin Thomas. Sometimes it's like the dude can be hit or miss a little bit more than you would think from a guy of his caliber, but he could easily go out and get a first finish here. No one's going to blink an eye. Obviously has that great course history like I talked about. He's third in birdie or better percentage, third in that strokes differential stat, first in strokes gain approach, fifth in strokes gain total, which are all kind of the key stats that you want to be looking at this week. I do like Justin Thomas this week. I'm not sure how much I'll have of him or if I'll have any of him. Really, I'm trying to only have around 10 players in my player pool this week, and I'm really only going to be playing single entries just so that if I do hit, it's going to hit pretty well. I do really like Webb Simpson. There is something to say about him sitting out last week that might have been, pretty strategic, although I would like to see him play it just so we know how he'd produce in like a U.S. Open type of format this year. It would have been nice to have that data to go off of, but needless to say, he should be pretty well rested. He had a T16 finisher last year, a T4, and a T13. Grades out as the second best staff fit in the field, just behind Jon Rahm. I don't mind him. It's just how many strokes can we expect Webb Simpson to go out and gain on the field here? That's my biggest worry with him. It's like, yes, I'm pretty sure he's locked into a top 5 finish. I don't see him going anywhere out of there. It's just what are we going to get from him from there? That's my biggest worry with him. And Webb's at -6. I can't really imagine Webb Simpson going out and overcoming, 4 strokes from Dustin Johnson or Jon Rahm to potentially, go out and win. That's my biggest worry with him. I do think he is a safe play though. But then I'm going to bring up someone like Hideki, -4. I do like him quite a bit. That recent form has been there. I already talked about that course history. He's a play that I don't mind. You can definitely throw him in there. Not a bad starting point for you, and then filling in where you go. On Daniel Berger as well, he's at -4. I like him quite a bit. We've seen him play, really great golf recently. He hasn't played this course in the last 2 years, but before that, he had finished top 15 each of the 2 times that he had played it. Now, it's not great, and we don't love that, but it's not horrible. He's definitely playing the best golf of his career right now, so he's someone where if he goes out and finishes 3rd overall, that wouldn't surprise me. Same could be said for Harris English. I know I've touched on him a ton. I didn't have the best week last week. It was really kind of a big letdown last week for me, but he's at -4 as well. He could make a splash and, potentially get to -2 or T2, maybe T3 on the week. Don't mind him. And they're kind of softly priced. And then Xander as well. I will mention him. I don't like the fact that he's -3, but he could easily go out and have a great week. Obviously, has that great course history here. Finished 2nd, T7, and 1st here. Solid stat fit. He ranks out 5th. Berger, Harris English, and Xander here all rank out top 5. So they're going to be great plays for you. Then I actually do like Tony Finau. Great recent form recently. 5th, miscut, and then T4. And what I mean by that is that he's really shown the upside that we wanted to see from him. He's a guy that has good course history. He's a guy that really wouldn't surprise me if he made up some strokes here. T17 in both birdie or better percentage and strokes differential. Normally strong in strokes gained approach. He's a guy where if his game's on, he could definitely go on and win. Not win, sorry, not this week, not win, but he's a guy that could get to, like, say, -10 total, -8 on the week, which would be in contention on a normal week, but obviously this is a normal week. I like him to be able to go on and score. Then going lower, just guys that I think could, potentially, if they put it all together this week, get a top 5 finish or so. Torrehana, I like a ton. Obviously been a great stat for this whole year. Played decently well last week. Missed some bad putts, like some 5-footers, but that was kind of the theme of the week for a lot of players. Kevin Kisner been in great recent form. I don't know how much we can trust that. I don't like him too much. He did have a T9 finisher last year and T3 finish the year before that. He kind of seems to come together at the end of the years here. SEBASTIan MUNOZ, I do think he could make up some strokes. He is -3 as well, which is kind of surprising. I talked about why I liked him last week. He was just trending in the right direction. We saw him, kind of grinding out some finishes there. He finished T48, miscut, T74, and then a T18, and then a T8. This is a course where I want to attack someone that can go on and score. He is the 19th best F in the field, which isn't great, but at his salary, that's pretty solid. You're only paying 5.9 for him, and he's at -3. If he goes on and shoots -5, he's right around -8, which is where Jon Rahm's starting at second place at. I don't mind him as a play this week. Once again, kind of for the same reasons I liked him last week. And then Billy Horschel, he did have a second overall finish here not too long ago. If you had to play him, go with it. He is pretty cheap. You're most likely going to have to fit 2 players down in this range. I did like Mackenzie Hughes at the start of the week just because he has shown that upside that we really like to see. But I'm wondering if that since he made it to the Tour Championship, it's kind of like that was his goal. Obviously, he doesn't have anywhere to go from here. Maybe he could potentially go out and get a, top 12 finish, which this low, if you're going to get someone that's scoring birdies, that's not going to be a bad thing for you. All right, that's all I have for you guys this video. It has been a great PGA Tour season. Grown a lot this year, and I really do appreciate everyone that's been supportive and that everyone that's joined 9 to 5 Nation as well on the membership page. That has been great to see. I appreciate all the comments, whether that's on Twitter or whether that's in the YouTube videos. Appreciate that, guys. But let's have another good year next year, starting it off next week with the Safeway Open. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like and subscribe. And as always, guys, let's keep cashing. Thanks.